Hey, welcome back to DieCash Cars. So the other day, walking through Walmart, I was fortunate enough to find the latest Fast and Furious premium mainline set, the Hot Wheels Decades of Fast. This set includes Jacob's El Camino from Fast X. You got Jesse's Jetta from the original Fast and Furious movie. You got what I would imagine Hobbs's Hummer H1. You got Dom's Grand National. And I believe Dom's Chevy Nova SS. Great set. Probably not the most popular arrangement of cars, but premium Fast and Furious lineups right now are very scarce. I feel like it's hit or miss at your Walmart. So again, just fortunate to find any Hot Wheels premium mainlines on the pegs. But one thing this set made me think about was all the hero cars out of all the Fast and Furious movies. So for example, the OG Fast and Furious, you got the orange Toyota Supra driven by Brian O'Connor. Too Fast, Too Furious, it had to be the gray Nissan Skyline R34 in one of the opening race scenes. Tokyo Drift, that was the one movie where we didn't get a lot of the original characters back in the movie. The franchise was basically taken in a whole new direction, and the movie hero car had to be the APR Mitsubishi Evo 8. Fast and Furious Part 4, Brian O'Connor and the original cast are back, and the movie car undoubtedly had to be this blue Nissan Skyline R34, which also turned out to be a very popular Hot Wheels model as well. Fast 5, that's where I feel like the franchise hit its peak. The movie hero car had to be the Dodge Charger, where in the end scene it was pulling the safe loaded with all the money, and the other iconic scene with the Dodge Chargers is when all 5 main characters of the movie did the $1 million quarter-mile race. Fast 6, also another one of my favorite Fast and Furious movies, but movie car hero, you got the Ford Escort driven by Paul Walker. I mean, this car and Paul Walker were posterized everywhere when that movie came out. And the absolute peak of the Fast and Furious franchise, Fast 7, and undoubtedly the hero car had to be the white Toyota Supra, driven by Brian O'Connor. In the last scene, you can almost hear the Charlie Puth song going when you see this car. Then we get into Fate of the Furious, when all the characters become superhuman. You got the Ice Charger in the end scene where it comes to save the day and blows up the submarine, driven by Dom. Fast 9, well, you got a Pontiac Fiero that goes into space. Yes, I said that right. A Fiero with a rocket on its back that goes into space, which Hot Wheels has yet to attempt that casting. And then you got Fast X, where we got John Cena driving this El Camino, which saves the day. He basically sacrifices himself and saves Dom and allows Dom to go and save his son. And this is out of, again, the latest Fast and Furious premium mainline set. So there's definitely a lot of variety when it comes to the hero cars of all the Fast and Furious movies, but I will say that encapsulating everything, when you think Fast and Furious, you think about Toyota Supras and Nissan Skylines. However, there is a quote-unquote Nissan Skyline that everybody seems to forget about. And as I was going through all the hero cars for Fast and Furious, I did not mention, because again, not a lot of people give it the credit it deserves, but it was in fact the main hero car of the movie. And let's rewind all the way back to Tokyo Drift, where I know everybody likes to think of the Evo and the Mona Lisa, the Nissan Silvia S15, as the main hero cars, or maybe even Han's Fortune Veilside RX-7, which I do not have an example of. But you guys all know how the movie ended. The main movie car is actually this DieCash green Ford Mustang fastback with an RB26, which, as you guys know, is the heart of the Nissan Skyline. So let's just do a little recap of all the cars driven by the main character, Sean Boswell, how he got to that RB powered Ford Mustang there. And this would be the third video of the franchise Tokyo Drift, which I will argue it may not be the most popular, but I feel like it's the most underrated Fast and Furious movie. And visually, it is one of the best because it puts you right in the heart of the JDM world. And cinematically, it's really, really breathtaking, guys. But nonetheless, Sean Boswell, main character, actually portrayed by Lucas York Black, who is a pretty cool guy in real life. I follow him on Instagram. But the opening scenes, I mean, he's hooking up his Chevy Monte Carlo there. He's in high school apparently, and he drag races it against a Dodge Viper. Then he goes to Tokyo after getting to a number of incidences with the police. He hooks up with Hans, who allows him to drive the Mona Lisa, the Silvia S15, which he destroys up the ramps as he's drifting it. And then later, he owes Hans a favor, paying him back for the S15. So Hans gives him, magically, this APR Mitsubishi Evo 8, which is just glorious. He ends up wrecking that, or it gets impounded by the police. And then his dad actually has this Ford Mustang just kind of laying there. So what they do is they take the motor out of the S15 that has to this point been totaled by Sean, and they put it inside of the shell of a Mustang that Sean's dad has, right? So let's see if this Joyride Ertl Fast and Furious from way back in 2006 has the correct RB motor. Right, so let's get this open. And man, we are opening up a relic here. All of these Joyride cars are very rare, very sought after. I was very fortunate to be able to pick up these cars for about $20-$30 a piece, where they always list for 50 plus. I've even seen them go up to like $200. But moment of truth, is there an RB26 inside of this Ford Mustang? And yes, there is. Might be a little shady here, guys, but it is a gold RB26. And you guys might be asking, well, this is coming out of a Nissan Silvia S15. Why isn't it an SR20 red top or black top? Well, they don't really give that details within the movie, but we do know for a fact that when they lift up the hood of this Nissan Silvia, it is an RB26 motor. So Hans, being the genius that he is, must have swapped in an RB26 before he made this thing so legendary to get a name like the Mona Lisa. This is such a cool little 164. Man, I wish I had a bigger version of this to just show you all the cool details within this car to really get the point across, guys, that this, being the hero car of Tokyo Drift, should be more respected nowadays. Actually, I do. I have the 118 version, same brand, Joyride Ertl. I'm gonna get this cracked open and let's take a look at that RB26. And this piece here, guys, is truly a relic of Fast and Furious memorabilia because, again, aside from the age, guys, these 118 Ertl Joyride Fast and Furious cars are always selling for such a pricey amount. I mean, upwards of $80 to $100 is what I'm seeing for this particular Ford Mustang with the RB26 motor in it. I was lucky enough to get this still in box. Granted, the packaging is fairly beat up and aged, for about $60, which I feel like was very fair given the age of this piece. But man, let's just take a look at this. And then first and foremost, we gotta check and see, does it have an RB26 inside of it? Yes, it does. Same gold valve cover, but no doubt RB26, and that is glorious. Man, I mean, look at that. It's even got the actual Volk Racing GT7 wheels that come off the Nissan Silvia S15, the Mona Lisa. I mean, they not only swapped over the engine, they even took the authentic JDM wheels as well. Man, it looks great. Really cool, guys. The reason why I'm such a fan of this car is the fact that it is the mix of both Eastern and Western Hemisphere car culture influences, right? I mean, you got the JDM Nissan Skyline RB26 motor, and then the Ford Mustang, arguably the most iconic USDM American-made American muscle cars out there. And the Fast and Furious franchise fused them together. Best of both worlds. And for some reason, this car gets no respect. And maybe it's the fact that it's not an original Mustang, or the fact that some people would consider this an abomination that it's got an RB26 in it. But guys, I mean, if you think about it, in the late 90s to early 2000s, people were engine swapping everything, even nowadays. I mean, you see so many Mazda RX-7s, for example, with LS motors, or people put 2J motors in everything, including Camaros, right? I mean, that's just all part of the fun of modifying cars. I mean, they call it resto modifications because obviously old cars, kind of like this Mustang here, the engines are just very outdated and not as efficient as some of the more modern fuel injected cars. And sometimes those engines come from different hemispheres of the world. So I personally think that this Ford Mustang hero car from Tokyo Drift was ahead of its time. I mean, they accomplished something that we always talk about and dream about. And for some reason, it's not respected, guys. But here on DieCash Cars, this is one of the best hero cars. And in all honesty, the forgotten Skyline that we never talk about, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on DieCash Cars.